When you look at a building, you usually just see the walls and a roof. It feels completely permanent.
Right, yeah. You never really see the rebar or the plumbing hidden behind the drywall. We just sort of accept the structure exactly as it's presented to us.
Exactly. And today, we are grabbing a sledgehammer and swinging it right at the drywall of society.
Hmm.
Welcome to your custom deep dive. We've got a massive pile of research today looking at what experts call the architecture of systemic exclusion.
It's a heavy one.
It really is. Basically, our mission is to deconstruct how physical force, corporate finance, and local culture all interlock to marginalize minority populations, especially highly gifted individuals.
Yeah, the report is incredibly dense.
Very. And a quick heads up before we swing that hammer. Our sources today contain some heavily charged political topics, including discussions of Project 2025 and law enforcement.
Right.
So to be clear, we're not taking sides or endorsing any of these viewpoints. We're strictly serving as your impartial guides to convey the ideas exactly as they appear in the text.
And it is a fascinating tour, honestly. It's a profound look at how these totally different invisible layers of society operate together to keep a very specific status quo intact.
Right. So let's look at the actual brute force of this first. The way this is structured, it's essentially a classic military pincer movement.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, you're squeezing marginalized communities from the bottom and from the top.
That is the perfect way to visualize it. Because on the ground level, you have this decentralized, bottom-up intimidation. The source outlines these neo-Nazi active clubs.
Wait, active clubs?
Yeah, they operate right out in the open by, masking themselves as MMA fraternities.
Wow.
But that street-level threat is then compounded by systemic corruption. The text specifically calls out law enforcement gangs. Think of historical groups like the infamous Linwood Vikings operating inside the LA Sheriff's Department.
Okay, so that's the violent squeeze from below. But the squeeze from above is entirely top-down political strategy. For instance, the text cites the proposals in Project 2025 aimed at rolling back DEI protections and potentially leveraging the state to criminalize minority activism.
Exactly.
You got the grassroots guys with brass knuckles and the policy guys with pens, both boxing in the exact same communities.
Right, and here's where it scales up. Because if you can physically box people in, you can economically exploit them. Sociologists call this the new Jim Crow, where mass incarceration feeds directly into cultural commodification.
Okay, this brings us to that wild, viral conspiracy theory from 1991. The rumor was that music executives held a shadowy, smoke-filled room meeting to deliberately invent gangster rap, specifically to fill up private prisons.
Right. Now, obviously, hip-hop pioneers like Ice Cube completely laugh off the idea of a literal secret supervillain meeting. But what's crazy is that they actually validate the structural synergy.
Wait, how does that work?
Well, early rap was protest art, right?
Yeah.
Against police brutality. But when corporate labels realized that white suburban kids loved the edgy criminal aesthetic, they demanded more exaggerated, violent narratives.
But wait, I have to push back here. Because we don't even need a shadowy conspiracy when the sheer banality of modern portfolio theory explains this perfectly.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, capital simply flows to high-yield investments. Giant mega asset managers like Vanguard and BlackRock hold massive, simultaneous investments in both the major record labels distributing gangster rap and the largest private prison operators.
Right, like CoreCivic and the GEO group.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they don't care about the ethics. The algorithm just organically builds a closed-loop economy of exploitation.
You profit from the destructive cultural messaging on one side and the physical cages on the other.
It's completely wild.
Yeah.
And the most depressing part is how this architecture actively targets the people most equipped to dismantle it, which is gifted minorities.
Yeah, it's a calculated neutralization. In schools, this looks like systematically denying kids access to gifted and talented programs. The research uses this heavy term for it, spirit assassination.
Man, spirit assassination.
It's intense. It's the psychological toll of constantly being told your brilliance doesn't belong. And then in college sports, you see the NCAA historically co-opting Black excellence. But where this gets incredibly specific is the tech sector.
Right. The research spends a lot of time zooming in on Utah's Silicon Slopes.
Yes. It connects the history of the region, specifically old theological concepts from the LDS Church regarding racial innocence, to modern corporate gatekeeping. It basically shows up as a demand for culture fit, which effectively isolates minority tech workers, especially in cybersecurity.
So ask yourself this. Imagine you, listening right now, are a white hat hacker. Your literal job description is to poke around and find vulnerabilities in a system. But the second you point out a cultural vulnerability like systemic bias within your own tech company, you're professionally retaliated against. You're punished for doing the exact thing you were hired to do.
It's the ultimate double bind. They aren't valued as problem solvers, they're perceived as threats to the structural order.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from MMA, fraternities, and blind algorithms to tech gatekeeping. But I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over that just blew my mind.
The FBI watch list detail.
Yes. So the source briefly mentions that the FBI uses a silent hit feature on their federal terror watch lists. They do this specifically to hide federal terror investigations from local police forces.
Wait, hide it from the local police.
Yeah. Because they are terrified, those local cops might have ties to white supremacist groups and tip them off.
Think about that. If the system's own federal watchdogs are forced to hide their activities from local law enforcement, how deep does the institutional paranoia truly go?
We started off talking about taking a sledgehammer to the drywall to check the building's foundation. But if the architects themselves are terrified of what's hiding in the basement, you really have to wonder how structurally sound this building is to begin with. Keep questioning, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.